Hey, how are you? I'm so happy to be here. It is hilarious here because my computer about 10 minutes ago asked me to please update my computer, and I was like, sure, no problem. Note to self, it takes forever. So I'm a little late coming on today. Hey, how are you? I am excited about today because a couple things happened over this weekend, and I was reminded that this book here, if you've not read this book here, this is like my third pass through this book. I think the first time I maybe made it like 25 pages. The second time I read it wholly, and then this time I'm reading it with a highlighter. So I thought about you this morning because we're in the midst of the meditation, the 30-day meditation challenge, and I have definitely noticed that this time I'm having some different feelings and different things come up for me during my meditations. And so I find it to be tremendously fruitful, the whole practice. And there's a lot of reasons why. And I think meditation is a great practice. I have stayed thus far on the practical. And I've talked a lot about how it's good for the system. And today we're going to get into a little bit more of what meditation offers on a different level. And I'm going to use this book as a tool because I thought of you all in the midst of it as I read one of the sections today and this weekend. And so the first thing I want to tell you is one of the best gifts of meditation for me has been learning that I am not the constant stream, the voice, the constant stream of stuff that runs in my mind. I'm not the voice in my head. I can watch the voice in my head, but I am not the voice in my head. The voice in my head is the egoic mind. And it's not, it's just not, it's not real, the voice in your head. And so I wanted to read the first thing before we talk about the inner body meditation, which I love. I want to read something from you from Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. The content of the ego varies from person to person, but in every ego, the same structure operates. In other words, egos only differ on the surface. Deep down, they're all the same. In what way are they the same? They live on identification and separation. When you live through the mind-made self comprised of thought and emotion, that is the ego, the basis for your identity is precarious because thought and emotion are by their very nature ephemeral, fleeting. So every ego is continuously struggling for survival, trying to protect and enlarge itself. Boom. For me, that's a boom-worthy statement. Number one, we all have it. And number two, it has two functions. It wants to identify, it wants to be special, it wants to stand out, it wants to be like me, this is I. And also in order to do that, often it creates separation. And immediately the judging starts. I am better than I am. I'm comparing myself, right? What meditation offers is a pause in that for you to start to see that you are not the voice. You are not the voice that's running you. And it's important because once you start to can create some separation there, you start to see that in many ways, the voice is causing suffering through trying to identify and separate. So this is why I think meditation is one of the key reasons why meditation is so important, because on a collective level, if we were able to take a step back from the stories that our mind is running and starting to identify that, oh, that's not me, that's the egoic mind, boy, we could really make a dent in this world in terms of noticing that our egos are creating separation. And how can we notice that and start to do the opposite, which is to connect and love. So there's the why. And this book, again, this is a tremendously heady book, although he writes very delightfully, but it's heady in nature. And so I read it a little bit at a time and pull out stuff that's really meaningful to me at the time that I'm reading it. So I really want to recommend this book if you haven't read it. Okay, so let's talk about this meditation. Oh, I had forgotten about this meditation, but then I was like, oh my God, I love it so much. This is called Feeling the Inner Body. And I love it because it's very simple. And it's a simple way to invite in meditation that you may not be in the everyday, that you might not be having access to in the everyday, because we often look at meditation as, you know, I'm going to sit, I'm going to create some space, I'm going to have my tools, I'm going to make this a moment. And yes, great, awesome. And you can also bring the presence and the practice of meditation into your day-to-day and into your moment-to-moment. And one of the cool ways I thought to do this was through feeling your inner body. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the section. It's a total of a page. And I'm going to read it to you. And take it in and see if it's something that you're able to play with and bring into your world. Because for me, this one I read about at the beginning of the weekend, and I practiced it the rest of the weekend. I was like, oh, it's delish. All right, you ready? Although body identification is one of the most basic forms of ego, the good news is that it is also the one that you can go most easily beyond. This is done not by trying to convince yourself that you are not your body, but by shifting your attention from the external form of your body and from the thoughts about your body, beautiful, ugly, strong, weak, too fat, too thin, to the feeling of aliveness inside it. No matter what your body's appearance is on the outer level, beyond the outer form, it is an intensely alive energy field. If you are not familiar with inner body awareness, close your eyes for a moment and find out if there is life inside your hands. Don't ask your mind. It will say, I can't feel anything. Probably it will also say, give me something more interesting to think about. So instead of asking your mind, go to the hands directly. By this, I mean, become aware of the subtle feeling of aliveness inside them. It is there. You just have to go there with your attention to notice it. You may get a slight tingling sensation at first, then a feeling of energy or aliveness. If you hold your attention in your hands for a while, the sense of aliveness will intensify. Some people won't even have to close their eyes. They will be able to feel their inner hands at the same time as they read this. Then go to your feet. Keep your attention there for a minute or so. And begin to feel your hands and feet at the same time. Then incorporate other parts of the body, legs, arms, abdomen, chest, and so on, into that feeling until you are aware of the inner body as a global sense of aliveness. What I call the inner body isn't really the body anymore, but life energy. The bridge between form and formlessness. Make it a habit to feel the inner body as often as you can. After a while, you won't even need to close your eyes. For example, see if you can feel the inner body whenever you listen to someone. It almost seems like a paradox. When you are in touch with the inner body, you are not identified with your body anymore, nor are you identified with your mind. This is to say, you are no longer identified with form, but moving away from form identification toward formlessness, which we may also call being. It is your essence identity. Body awareness not only anchors you in the present moment, it is a doorway out of the prison that is the ego. It also strengthens the immune system and the body's ability to heal itself. Let me know how this goes for you. Let me know if you can feel your fingers and your toes and the rest of your body. Yeah, so I'm going to leave you with that today. Looks like there's going to be a really great thunderstorm, so I'm going to grab my coffee and go enjoy it. Have a great day. See ya.